Good morning. Thank you for the invitation, Jorge Rivera, and for the initiative about so important issue, the so-called discourse of merit. I was told by the person who contacted me that there is an ongoing debate in the University of Aveiro about institutional and policy issues concerning the merits and its implications in the academic career of the university teachers. I think that there is a seminar this afternoon somewhere in the university. Thus, rather than focusing on more epistemic issues that are much more interesting, I will focus on in my talk on institutional and policy issues that it is in a more practical aspect, so to speak. Well, in a sense, it's a different way of looking to the role played by the community, not only the scientific community, so well analyzed by Lorraine and Maria Jorge, but how the academic community at large deal with the question of merits in a different context and in this particular country. I will start with an experiment I went through in the 80s. Mid-80s, when I was a young lecturer of the Universidade de Aveiro. Well, in short, my rector invited me to lunch with a senior professor, an ex-rector. I don't remember well, it was from a Dutch or a German university, but was visiting my university at the time. And during the conversation, my rector asked the visitor what was the most important factor contributing to the quality of the university. And the answer came quickly. The first more important factor is the staff, faculty. And the second most important factor is the staff, the faculty. And then all the rest comes. And for me, a young lecturer, this was a kind of a Zen moment, because there was something that I've never thought in duly terms. And since then, the professional development of university teachers came as a very important and relevant aspect of my interest. In my talk, I want to go through it, not about research. I shift during these presentations, I switch for other aspects, because since the beginning of this seminar, all the three speakers talk about research, and I'm going to shift for different aspects of the university functions. And the point I want to make is there is several dysfunctions between the means to ensure the quality of the potential of the professional development of teachers, in Portugal at least, imposed by existing legislation and university practice of the universities, especially in the last 20 years, given the clear change in the university ethos to the so-called new public management orthodoxy. I will focus on questions about teaching and about the management in the university. because looking to the legal regulatory guidelines, the so-called Estatuto Docente de Carreira Universitária, and all the elaborations they have done since its publication, I understand that there are quite a lot of problems that should be clarified and get our attention. I pick up three that relate to comments. The first one is to clarify the functions of the different staff, of the different faculty. If you look to the Estatuto, it's amazing because there is nothing about research in the functions of the auxiliary teachers. Nothing. There is a lot of confusion between the functions that are supposed to be of those auxiliary professors, associate professors, and even catedrátic professors. So this is something that should be clarified. The second point, it is in Portugal, this is speaking for Ulrich. In Portugal, we have we have contests and you have oral exams, what you call the aggregation. That is a necessary step to reach the position of catedrátic professor. My view, it is that certainly we should change the contest of associate professor and catedrátic professor, not as a contest, but as oral exams, replacing the so-called aggregation that I don't understand now. What is the logic of it? Well, I understand the logic of it now. It is a kind of giving something to those teachers that are not able to reach the position of catedrátic professor. Another aspect within this discussion, it is what is supposed to be presented for a catedrátic professor in his or her exam. I pick up an expression from Maria Jorge I found very interesting, the question of visão larga, the wide view. And my question is, why in its presentation a catedrátic professor cannot speak about heart or whatever? Why a person that comes from physics or chemistry or mathematics cannot speak about, present a lesson about art or philosophy or whatever? So widen the cultural approach to the profession and not narrow it in the strict terms of the academic disciplines he or she is supposed to fulfill. A third aspect that I should like to mention is the way the performance of staff is evaluated. In short, how to evaluate research, teaching, and managing. I mean, university managing, of course. Well, about research, there was a lot of discussion this morning about it. I don't go through it. I should like to focus on the question of teaching and university management. And I was looking to the kind of things that many universities ask me to be present in this contest for different positions of associate and catedrátic professors. And I pick up some of the things that I'm asked to look at. For example, number of different disciplines, production of didactic materials, and so on. So I don't know the nature of the disciplines that are being presented, or the quality of these didactic materials that are produced. On the contrary, I don't see anything about commitment or enthusiasm or innovation methodologies or flexibility in the approaches or disponibility, availability to the students. This is not at all evaluated in teaching. And this is, we know it, that is the most important aspects in teaching. Going to the management aspects, what I am supposed to evaluate, it is if he or she was president or coordinator of something, or consulting aspects. I don't see leadership or dynamics of innovation in their departments or faculty, or the appropriate use of resources, whatever. So these are aspects I think that we should reflect and doing our best to change. Some people will say, well, this is difficult to evaluate. Of course it is. We know it. But we all know, always know that there are some places in the world where these things are doing in a proper manner. Nottingham universities, for example, is a university where these things are being done certainly much better than we do in Portugal. I should say that in mid-90s, for the initiative of the Rector Council of the time, I think for the Portuguese people, the president of the Rectors Committee was the Sérgio Machado Santos. I'm not sure about it. But I am sure that the Júlio Pedrosa was appointed to coordinate the first network of staff development in Portugal, university staff development. At the time, it was called Rede de Formação Pessoal de Ensino Superior. In fact, it was a staff development network. There was a lot of meetings involving all the universities at the time, all the public universities to be sure, plus the Catholic university as well. And we were able to organize a workshop in the late 90s, and then things fell out. This was something that it should be rethink and try to reorganize by the university, at least for the public universities. There is a good news about that, because during the 2020s in July and then replicated in September, there was an initiative by the University of Minho, Aveiro, and Trás-os-Montes do Haddad to a staff development meeting based in Minho, I guess, I'm not sure, involving about 200 staff, teachers, with the aim of, after 2 days, more or less 2 days, it was the duration of the seminar, they were supposed to present innovation of a discipline. And the evaluation made, the site evaluation made, it was very positive. And besides the instrumental aspects of it, I think the initiative, it's very welcome because it involved three different universities that were mobilized to something that we tried to start 25 years earlier. So this is something that should be expanded, and in other universities, especially about the objects of the seminar. It was how to change in the innovative sense the kind of disciplines we are teaching in our universities. It was not a course of pedagogic or educational sciences. It was a very different thing because it was focusing on the professional aspects of these teachers were confronted with. There is probably a problem because we don't know what happened afterwards. That is, these 200 teachers returned to their universities, to their departments, to their faculties, and we don't know exactly what happened. And we don't know whether, going back to my previous comments, whether the presidents or the coordinators of the department, the faculty explore the kind of experience their teachers came, and how it was afterwards developing in their departments of the faculties. So in terms of sustainability, this is something that should be thinking the medium term, but in the short term, I would think in three interesting measures that could be think of. The first was a specific funding for projects aiming to improve teaching and management in our departments and faculties. As far as I know, there is no specific funding for these kind of things. There is specific funding for research, but there is not specific funding for projects that aim the innovation in teaching or university management. The second one was the priority of sabbatical leaves for those teachers who want to improve their teaching or university management. And the third aspect was the consulting of, in a voluntary basis, of course, for retired senior teachers, in particular in the case of the new arrived lecturers. Going back to the words that Maria Jorge presented about how to involve the newcomers to the profession, and this is going aside with this comment. And that's all what I have to say. Thank you very much.